morning, evening, afternoon, whenever you're gonna end up watching this, you beautiful souls. Today I'm starting my day off with a nice big smoothie. Woo! It's honestly the same thing every single time. Bananas, frozen strawberries, organic cane sugar, and water. Did I put some soy milk in it today? No, I did not. So it's about 11:55 right now. I have to leave to work in about 10 minutes, so I'm hoping that I can kind of make this shorter than it needs to be. I usually don't like my videos being that long. However, talking about something like this, which I've been wanting to make a video about for a while, it's hard to condense into like 10 minutes or less, but I'm gonna try my best. And what this is regarding today is my story and my struggles with bulimia, recovery, how I coped with it, my experience during it, the effects that it had on me. And I just want to share this with you today because it was such a huge part of my life and it really molded me into who I am today, and I've learned so much from it. Even though it was probably one of the hardest times of my life, I would not change a thing about it because it wouldn't have made me who I am today. My dog's going crazy right now, so if you hear some whining in the background, that's what's happening. But let's get right into it. So this didn't start off intentionally, and you're probably a little bit confused by that. I was too. So basically what happened, this was back in probably, I believe, grade 10-ish. I was best friends with this girl and we used to party together all the time. At this time I was not vegan. I was drinking a lot, doing drugs. I don't believe I was smoking cigarettes at the time, but regardless, we had gone out to a friend's house to pre for the night. We had drank a lot and I was eating a lot of pizza because at that time I didn't calorie restrict, although it was very subtly there. And I ate so much pizza, you know, packed full of cheese and just like meat, and it made me feel so bloated. And when we were at this party that we went to next, this is actually the night that this guy ended up beating the crap out of me. If anyone had watched my story time, if not, then I'll put the link in the description below. This happened on the exact same night. Wow, I'm just putting that together now. Alright, so we went to this party and I was so full on pizza I couldn't drink anymore, but I wanted to drink because I was drunk, but like I was one of those people who just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. I was a horrible drunk, awful. I apologize to anyone who had to be around me during those times. It was not a peak of my life that I like to reminisce on whatsoever. However, I had gone outside and I didn't really remember this. I went outside and I started making myself throw up all of the pizza so that I could drink more. Ew. And my girlfriend had come out and she was like, "Oh my god, Jazz, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Girl, like I need to make room to drink because my stomach be full as frig." That's so gross to think back on, so gross, but it happened, whatever, moving on. And the next morning she asked me, she's like, "Hey Jazz, so are you bulimic?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like I really didn't, I knew what bulimia was, but I never really even considered that because I've always been pretty thin. There was a point where I was probably about like 150 pounds. No one believes me, it's funny, but I never really looked it, if that makes sense. And basically she was like, "Jazz, like, I mean, you threw up last night and you were making yourself throw up." And I looked down at my stomach and my stomach was nice and flat, and usually after nights of drinking I'd be really bloated and gross just because you eat so much crap and you're drinking so much crap. And I looked down and my stomach was flat and I was like, ooh. And then I got this idea in my head. I was like, hey, I was like, well, I mean, hey, if I can throw up all my food and eat, but just throw it up and be skinny, I mean, why not? Not putting together the awful health effects that it has on you, both physically and mentally, that didn't occur to me. I didn't look into it, not whatsoever. So let's move forward a little bit. A few months, I started going to the gym a lot, started throwing up my food constantly. And if you're a girl watching this and you have, or if you're anyone watching this and you've had an eating disorder before and no one knows about it, but they tell you, "Oh my god, you're starting to look so good. You look so skinny. Like, what are you doing?" That gives you that inner motivation to keep going, and you're like, yes, it's working. Like, I look so good. I'm never gonna stop. And that was the early stage where I was feeling fine. My throat wasn't at the point where I couldn't swallow. I wasn't at the point where I had erratic mood changes and I was just feeling like death from the inside out. This was the point where it was pretty new to me. It was the first several months, and me and my girlfriend the one that I just spoke of, I'm not gonna say her real name. Let's call her Jody. So Jody and me were in this together, as in she'd come over to my house because she basically like lived with me. That's how much we hung out, and we would eat a bunch of junk food, and we would take turns going in the shower and blasting the music and making ourselves throw up. We actually got to this point where we wanted to make a book of the do's and don'ts of throwing up. Which food comes up faster, which food comes up better, which food doesn't hurt your throat. Oh my god, just so messed up. Like literally a book for disaster. Like if you wanted to kill yourself slowly, basically that's what we were writing a book about. We didn't end up doing it, but we ended up being in this together. So in the sense, when we would go to parties and stuff like that, we'd get really messed up and we would just like eat a bunch of junk because we were starving all the time, right? We were hungry. So when we would get in those states of being really drunk and everything like that, when you get the munchies, you're like, oh my god, I just want to eat everything. And then we would, you know, signal each other to like go in the bathroom now, oh someone's coming, like this and that. Like it was really messed up. It was a really toxic relationship. I loved the friendship I had with this girl. We don't talk anymore whatsoever. If you're watching this, I love you and I hope you're doing well, and I really hope that that habit is not a part of your life at all still. But basically this had lasted for probably a year and a half, almost 2 years. When I came back to school the following fall, I had a boyfriend at the time. And I thought I was looking good. It was so thin. I was probably wearing 00s at that time. I was loose in 00 jeans, and it wasn't healthy whatsoever, but to me I was healthy. To me I was healthy just because I was eating. When I came to school, everyone was very concerned for me. They were asking my boyfriend if I was okay, like what's wrong with her. My gym teachers were like, she's taken this too far, because I used to work out like crazy in gym class the year before that. And my gym teachers were really proud of me. You know, they really loved that. They really admired my determination and my commitment that I had to being at the gym and lifting and running and doing all this stuff like crazy. But when I came back the following year, they definitely thought that I took it too far, and I did, and I was in denial. You know, I was in denial. I'm like, nope, that's not true. I'm healthy. Now I just want to paint a little picture of what my daily routine would be for eating and exercising. So in the morning, I would wake up, I would eat 1/3 of a cup of egg whites, 1 tablespoon of salsa, 1 piece of toasted toast, 1 piece of toast with 1 tablespoon of honey and 4 almonds. And before every single breakfast, I would go for a run. I would run around my block several times. I would go up and down the streets around that I live. I would not stay out late the night before because I was committed to running. Nothing wrong with that. But my relationship with exercise and food was not okay. So my lunch would usually be probably about half a can of tuna. I know all of this thinking back is so gross, but I wasn't educated at the time. Veganism was never something that I saw, never something that I knew even really existed. And so I was pretty much just going off of what the fit gurus on, you know, Twitter and Instagram and all these things are saying, oh, lean proteins, like, oh my god. I was very influenced by a lot of misinformation, but I took what I could from it because I just wanted to be skinny, and I just wanted to be skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, and it never satisfied me enough whatsoever. And basically, yeah, so I'd have half a can of tuna, and then I would probably have a few lettuce leaves, and that was my lunch. And then I would go for another run, and if I could, I would go to the gym. I didn't drive at the time, but I would get my mom to drive me to the gym, or I would bike to the gym, and biking to the gym alone was probably about a solid maybe 45 to an hour, and then I would go lift weights and do more cardio. And then when I came home, honestly, this was so long ago, I don't even remember what I would have for dinner, but at the end of the day, I was eating probably less than 1,000 calories for sure. I used to follow this thing, I can't remember what it's called, but it was like this calorie counter, and I would make sure that I would not go above 1,200. And you kind of, on this site, you post your daily meals if you want to and stuff, and you can interact with other people. And I always remember that I had people constantly being like, whoa, like you're really under the limit, like you need to, you know, up your calories slowly so that you don't go into starvation mode. And I would love, when I put in my calories for the day, mind you, I never ate after 7 p.m. Never. It was a rule for me to go to bed absolutely starving. I honestly don't know how I slept. I really don't, because at this point I can't sleep if I'm hungry. But basically, at the end of the day, when you put in your calories, it would tell you like well, for me personally, it would always be like, you're way under limit, you know, if you keep this up, you're going to lose this amount of weight in this time. And that motivated me the most, to know that I could go from like 110 pounds to 105 pounds in a few weeks if I were to keep up my calories like this. That was a huge motivator to me. It was awful. So I started eating less and less, because the more and more that I threw up, the harder it became to be. The more my throat started closing up. I wasn't really able to talk. I wasn't able to swallow. My mom had no idea any of this was going on. I would always take super long showers. In that time, I was never ever taking showers. I was always bent over the toilet, literally throwing up, or throwing up in the sink. Literally clogged my mom's sink to the point she had to get a new one, and she had no idea why. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that was a point in my life where it was never enough. I always just wanted to be skinnier. The girls around me all seemed to have it so made out where they could eat whatever they wanted and be skinny, but I was never blessed with that. I was never blessed to be able to be one of those girls who could go out drinking every weekend and, you know, not feel like a fat cow the next week. I don't know how girls do it, and I don't know how they maintain that, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm so blessed that I was never given that kind of metabolism, because I would probably be in a state right now that was very toxic to my body, instead of trying to find ways to become more health conscious and this and that. And I just wanted to be fit, and I just wanted to be skinny, but throwing up your food is not the way to do that, and it took me a really long time to figure that out. Veganism has saved my life, and I'm not even kidding you when I say that. The first time that I went to Hawaii, I wasn't vegan, and that's when I met that guy that I ended up falling in love with and flying out and living with the next year, and he taught me all about veganism. He taught me everything that I needed to know at the time, and he showed me freely the banana girl. He knew that I wanted to be really skinny. He knew that I wanted to be fit, but he was a very, very smart man. Not a boy, that's for sure. And he showed me freely, and basically the aesthetics is what got me, and he knew that I'm thinking that he knew almost that would kind of hook me in. So I was like, oh my god, I will do anything to look like her, and blah blah blah. Now that's past. I mean, I'm gonna look like me. I'm gonna look like the best version of me that I can. Sure, I've fallen off the Rotel for wagon and, you know, eating 80-10-10, because to me that I just feel so restricted unless I'm in like a tropical place where I'm with abundant with fresh ripe fruit and different varieties, but that's for a different video. So basically, when I went to Hawaii, right up until the day that I left for the second time, which was 2 years ago, coming in February, I was calorie restricting. I was smoking a ton of cigarettes. The night before my flight, I went to a bar, I went to a show, and got messed up so badly. And I'm going to fly and live with this guy who is so fit and so healthy and so about his health, and I was so the opposite. But something beautiful came out of that, and he really taught me some amazing things that I'll always take with me. But eating in abundance and knowing that you can get fit and lean and healthy through eating an abundance of whole plant-based foods, that to me was like absolute heaven. I was like, oh my god, I can actually eat. Like, I can eat. Like, I'm getting emotional right now because it was crazy how much I would restrict myself and tell myself, you can't eat this. I would literally punish myself. Like, there was a point where my old boyfriend in high school, he used to get mad at me when I didn't drink because I was afraid of the calories. He would get so mad at me, and he would like, obviously he wouldn't force me to drink by shoving a bottle down my throat, but he was very manipulative, and I was very young and not strong-willed like I am now, where I would fall into the guilt and, you know, end up drinking. And there was this one night that I recall where we went up to his family's cottage, and I was drinking like these coolers that were really sugary, so of course they made me bloated because I would like restrict even the liquids that I drank. And I remember going and trying to make myself throw up, and I couldn't. In my head I'm like, you're so stupid. Oh, that's my timer, I gotta go soon, I'm gonna wrap this up. In my head I'm like, you're so stupid, you're so this and this, you're not gonna be allowed to eat for a week, we're not eating, you're gonna exercise your ass off, like there is no question about it. So self-destructive. It was very sad, but coming into veganism and being able to know that I can eat what I want, and, you know, at first I'm gonna have to gain some weight because, hey, I'm gonna have to let my body do its thing and even it out. And you know what? I gained like 15 pounds, and honestly, I felt so disgusting. I was like, I look disgusting, I feel disgusting, this is awful. But I knew there was either one or the other, and that one was either going back to calorie restricting and being a mental basket case for the rest of my life, or going through a period where I had to gain some weight and then it would come off on its own. And it's just going to take some time and take some patience, and that's what I chose. And right now, 2 years later, here I am, loving life, loving food, and just loving myself, you know, loving myself. And I never thought there would be a day where I would love myself. It was a mental hell that I lived through, waking up every day and looking at your body and thinking that you're so disgusting, and just wanting to kill yourself after you binge. That's not okay. That's not okay, and it's so unhealthy. And I feel so sorry for girls who are still in that, you know? Like, I can still remember what it feels like. And if you're going through that, know that there is a way out of that. There is a way out of that, and you don't have to feel like that, and you don't have to live like that, because it is such a hard way to live, and it's such an unnecessary way to live. And you can look and feel your best and love yourself every single day. You've just got to eat in abundance. You can't calorie restrict. You can't limit yourself and tell yourself that you can't eat this because it's going to make you fat. You know, you've also got to focus on your life and not just your body and what you look like. There's so much more to life, and you are such a beautiful individual. And a lot of people may be watching this aren't going to be able to relate to what I'm saying right now, and that's fine. But some people are going to be, and I really hope that people who are going through that can relate to this, because it's such an amazing lifestyle to live when you can eat in abundance every single day, and you're also giving back to the planet. You're not killing animals, you're not killing yourself, and you're not killing the planet that you live on. There's so many benefits to veganism that I never thought would affect me the way that it's affected me. It has changed my entire life, and I can't thank Tyler enough for putting me on this path, because wow, you know, I'm getting a little emotional. I need to go because I'm going to be late for work, but I wanted to share that with you today, and I wanted to share that no matter how hard the struggle may feel, there's always a way out, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And to me, what saved me was veganism, and I will be preaching this for the rest of my life because of this, because it literally saved my life. I probably wouldn't be here right now without it because of how low I was. So yeah, that was my video for today. I'm gonna get into the smoothie. I'm gonna get running because I'm gonna be late for work. I wanted to make this short. It's probably going to go on a little longer than I hoped. I didn't go into a lot of detail because if I did, I could be here forever, but what's the point? That was then. We're here now. There is a way. There is a way for you if you are going through this right now. Even if it's not as extreme as bulimia, even if it's just calorie restricting and waking up and not feeling like you love yourself, you want to look at yourself, and you want to get things done because you would just rather wallow away in the fact that you feel like you are not beautiful, because you think you have to be a certain size, or because you want to be a certain size. There's so much more to life than what we look like, but you can have the best of both worlds. You can feel and look your best on the inside, and that's going to reflect in your outer world, and you're going to manifest so many beautiful things into your life once you stop looking at yourself like you're the enemy. Food is not the enemy. Carbs are not the enemy. Sugar is not the enemy. Water is not the enemy. They are your best friends. Make them your best friends. If you haven't watched Forks Over Knives already, go give it a watch. If you haven't watched Cowspiracy, go give that a watch. If you haven't watched Earthlings, give them all a watch. Make that connection. Realize that you are such a beautiful being that should not be contributing to such mass murder and slaughter and rape and torture and abuse of all of these beautiful animals and your body and this beautiful planet that we've been given. You know, this planet gives us life. Why are so many people just crapping on it? It's not okay. And it's not okay to think that you're not this wonderful, brilliant, beautiful person just because of a size. Sweetie, you're so much more than that. You definitely are. Just realize that. It's going to be a process. If you're going through this right now, it's always going to be a process, but enjoy that process. love yourself during that process, because you will get there. I never thought I'd get to this point where I was so happy and confident with myself, but I'm here right now. And you can be there too if you're not already. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one.